Is it just me, or has it happened to you that somebody that you know who hasn't put in as much effort into something as you have gets an astonishingly impressive result when they try it for the first time? And when they boast it in front of you, it really fries your noodles. Right. This is what is known as beginner's luck. So, is it a thing? And if so, how does it work? And if it works, then how can I replicate it in my life to get some results for myself? Let's figure this out in today's episode of Perfectly Average. So, before we actually get to analyzing what beginner's luck is, I'd just like to reiterate a concept that has been spoken of many times on this podcast, and it is confirmation bias. So, confirmation bias is basically you confirming and remembering more your own prejudices and biases and disregarding any contradictory beliefs about them. Alright. So, why is it important in this case? It is because we tend to remember the unusual victories of a beginner over the normal and expected defeats, right? Because a defeat is expected out of a beginner, but any victories for him would be remembered more. Having said that, having given proof that we tend to give way too much importance than beginner's luck actually deserves, I'd still like to make a case for it. I still think that there is actually some truth behind it. So, we're going to talk about beginner's luck in a couple of senses. One is the actual competitive sense, wherein a beginner actually wins in a competition, right? The other is in a learning sense. I'd elaborate further on this later. So, firstly, let's talk about it from a competitive perspective. Now, when a beginner starts to do or play something for the first time, after they've been apprised of the rules and regulations, they don't really know what is good for them in the context of the game or the thing that they're doing. Like, for example, in chess, after you know how every piece moves and what you have to do when you get a check or whatever, you don't really know if it is okay for you to bring your queen out early, or is it okay for you to put your knights on end files, or is it okay for you to whatever move your king too much, right? So even though most of the times these blunderous moves will get you mated in like 10 moves, but some of the times these moves will baffle your opponent so much that they will make a blunderous move themselves. This random and not sticking to the theory part will actually make your opponent blunder themselves. And while most of the times you will fail, you will still remember that one game where you beat a higher rated player than you in a competitive game. So that's one reason behind beginner's luck, that you not knowing what is possible and not possible can sometimes work in your favor. The other reason being that the amount of pressure that the beginner faces is way less than what a expert faces. So in a competition, an expert is expected to do well, but there's no real expectation from a beginner, right? So this pressure can sometimes actually get on the expert's nerve and make them blunder in a situation of pressure, right? And this pressure thing can actually work the other way also, that the higher rated team is not giving as much respect to the lower rated team in a competition, and because of that the underdogs actually upset the higher rated team, right? So this can actually work both ways: too much pressure or too little pressure. So, in a competitive sense, I feel like these are two factors that contribute into something that can be termed as a beginner's luck. The other sense that I wanted to talk about is the sense of learning. Now, before I explain that, I'll just explain what an expert is. Alright. Now, an expert is not somebody who knows a lot about a lot of things, he just knows a lot about one thing or maybe two things. Alright. So, the learning curve of any individual basically starts off with knowing the basics of the thing, and then delving deep into it and knowing every nitty gritty that there is to know about it. So I'll give you an example about photography. All right. Now, if you know how to control shutter speed, aperture, and ISO to capture the perfectly exposed image, you basically know 80% of the technical aspect of photography. All right. So basically anybody who can watch a 5 minute YouTube video will know as much photography technically as much as a photographer who has spent 10 years clicking photos. Of course, I'm exaggerating, but you get the point. So I use the word technically because every skill in the world requires two aspects. Alright, one is the technical side and the other is the creative side. The technical side is easier to learn and you can learn it much faster than the creative side. But the creative side develops over time. It requires experience and time to be spent on it. Alright, so every chess player in the world moves the same pieces that you can, but the way they move it requires a special skill, and that is what develops with experience. So basically what I'm saying is that the learning curve for any individual is very steep in the beginning and it saturates over time. So this is a nice segue to the first point that I wanted to make in the beginner's luck in learning sense, and it is called as law of diminishing returns. Now before I actually explain that, I like to explain a concept called as hedonic adaptation. Now hedonic adaptation is basically a tendency of humans to return to a state of stability and happiness even when like minor or major uh, reinforcements or changes happen in their life, right? Like for example, if you have to keep your heart rate up, you have to keep running. As soon as you stop running, your heartbeat comes back to normal and you breathe normally. And for example, in best results for fat loss, you have to stay in that state of discomfort for longer. The longer you stay, the better you get at it. And the longer you stay, the state of your stability actually rises above. So firstly, for example, if you were able to run 40 minutes constantly without breaking down, now if you do that constantly, then at 40 minutes you will not feel as much exhaustion as you did like 3 months into the training. And that is actually metaphorically a beautiful concept to understand, that to grow in life, to achieve something in life, you have to constantly be in a state of discomfort. And the reason why I explained hedonic adaptation is because the law of diminishing returns tells the same story, and it's anyways a very beautiful concept to know. So I just wanted to explain it to you. So, anyways, so the law says that in the initial years you learn a lot in a very short amount of time. Like for example, in engineering, if I ask you in the first year what you're learning, you will say that you are learning physics, chemistry, maths, and coding. But in the second year, third year, and fourth year, if I ask a computer science graduate what you're learning, he'll say still learning coding, yeah. So specialization is basically just digging deeper and deeper into the same thing and making very very little progress. Like a PhD is just making a dent into the vast amount of knowledge that we already have and just making a little dent into it so that more opportunities into exploring that uh, come up. So that's one way I feel like beginner luck works in learning, because I feel like you get a lot of ideas and you get a lot of overview of most of the things that you can do, and over time that saturates. So an expert will know a lot about one thing, but a beginner will know what the guy is doing roughly. So the reason that I actually included this learning aspect into the beginner's luck is because I feel like beginner's luck is just basically a unfair sort of an advantage to a person starting out, and I feel like this exponential learning contributes to that idea. The reason I chose beginner's luck as today's topic is because of the consequence of it. The initial spike in the graph of learning has really interesting consequences and explain a lot of what goes on in our society. It brings me to the concept of confidence, one that I really enjoy talking about and one that you will enjoy listening to in the next episode. Thank you for listening. See you in the next one.